Hello. I am doing a little theme here today. Happens to be 4th of July, so I have gotten my wits about me to say, you know what? I really want to talk tonight about freedom from food addiction because 4th of July is represents freedom, and there has been such a huge change in my life upon discovering that uh, I had an addiction to sugar and carbs and processed foods. And to be free of that addiction has just been one of the most freeing things ever. And I want that for all of you who suffer from that same situation. And I'm really talking about there's so much to this, and I'm reading over in the comments. Some of you are really new to this whole thing, and this particular video, I am just concentrating on two things that I wanted to talk about as far as addiction and freeing ourselves of the addiction to potentially stop a weight loss stall, or for many people have just like maintained weight for a long time but still have 40 or 50 pounds to go. So what I wanted to say as far as people who are really new to carnivore, and let's just call it ketovore, carnivore, animal based, because I'm open to whatever people figure out works for them. But I'm going to put up here my first assumptions when I go through this talk is that you're already into this keto, carnivore, low carb thing, and you are already not eating bread, pasta, rice, really grains, seed oils, processed food. I got to assume that everybody, that's like top priority. Everybody knows you have to get off all of that stuff. And then I'm putting in here my other assumptions is that you are getting outside every day, walking every day, hopefully trying for, I know some of you might not be at that physical ability yet to walk 3 to 5 miles, but whatever it is, just keep working your way up, do more and more, get outside and walk every day. And weight training, I'm going to put a link to the video I did a couple weeks ago with Fred Hahn, showing the slow burn method that I find so incredibly effective, and only is twice a week, 30 minutes. So it's not really cumbersome. So now the reason why I'm going into those first assumptions is that this really isn't for Carnivore 101. And I'm going to tell you why. It could be if you're somebody who's really motivated and you want it bad enough and you want weight loss now and you have a lot of weight to lose and you're one of those all-in people, black and white, rip the Band-Aid off, then yeah, this could be something that is going to be helpful. And listen to this two topics that I'm going to bring up here about weight loss. But I also am very clear with people that I do not think that I could have transitioned into carnivore without first dealing with my emotions around grieving, feeling sad that you are not eating all this food that other people are eating. Now you have to remember this was 14 years ago for me. So there wasn't all of this keto stuff and there wasn't all these people into it. So it was hard at the beginning. And you go through some withdrawals, both physically and emotionally, about what you're no longer eating: the breads, the pasta, the ice cream, the chocolate. So I relied on cheese and fried cheese and lots of cheese, because that was sort of what I could cling to that was still carnivore. So it's not what everybody can and needs to do right away. But Number one of my two things that I'm really going to talk about as far as giving up to lose weight is dairy. It is addictive. And of course, going on my topic tonight of freedom from food addiction, dairy has casomorphines. And the casein in the dairy gets converted to casomorphines and it acts like an opiate. It hits those dopamine centers and it is, I mean, I'm really going to try on this video to not get into the technicalities of the science behind it. You can Google scholar.com. You can go down the rabbit hole with these different topics, but just Google cheese and addiction and casomorphine, and you will read lots of information about it. But trust me, yes, it's addictive. And a lot of times you see the cream pouring there into the coffee. It's what is driving a lot of people's coffee addiction too. So uh, the purpose of a cow's milk is to fatten the calf and to get the calf to gain 500 pounds in a year. Similar to mother's breast milk with the baby, the whole purpose and intent is for the baby to gain weight and grow. So there's certain aspects of the hormones that are in it that will trigger weight gain. And gosh, look at all that beautiful cheese I put on that graphic. Boy, do I love cheese. And I will say I have eaten cheese pretty much all the way through. I realize, though, that I have a hard time moderating cheese. And God forbid I start frying it, which I do sometimes for the videos and to help people when you're dealing with, it's so much better to have fried cheese than a donut. It's so much better to eat an entire package of cheese than it is to have a single bite of a cookie. So that's why I don't want to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but just understand that it has its place. It had its place for me. And depending on where you are in your journey with it and your relationship with it, some people are like, I could take it or leave it. I could have a bite and I'm good. That's called moderation. And I don't moderate very well on many things. And what I like to talk about, and I talk about this in my groups, is having sober behavior around a particular food, whether it is keto or carnivore or not. We all know that most of us, if we're here looking to lose weight, we have had issues with our relationship with food, and we've had our share of overeating food. And we know that we didn't have sober behavior around certain things like, say, pizza or chips. We could just go on and on, right? So just remember that you have to understand that this is not easy. And you need to, I feel, if we start understanding the reasons behind certain things, when we see it the next time or get triggered by it, there's going to be a different thought process. So I want you to really think about these different aspects of dairy that I am talking about here. So, all right. So the casein is what is the addictive substance. And yeah, it is definitely, from a lot of different studies I looked into, what is triggering in the brain to eat more of it. And when you think about how a mother who is nursing a calf or a baby, there's a positive quality for having that milk be addictive and that baby wanting more so that the baby thrives and grows and gains weight. So I guess there's a method behind the madness of what exactly is the components of the dairy. Dairy can trigger weight gain, acne and skin issues, autoimmune issues, prostate and breast cancers, along with some other cancers. Now, I'm not going to go into a detailed discussion with that. You can do lots of different research and go to Google Scholar. That's a different website than just Google, where you will get scientific papers, and look into it. I am going to put, or actually I do have right here now in the description, just a link to an article about the cancers. Before I get into that a little bit more, though, I'm going to say the autoimmune issues is a biggie. Anybody, any of you who suffer from arthritis, joint pains, any sort of uveitis issues, inflammatory issues of your eye, dry eye, there's so many different issues in our bodies that are autoimmune related. You should absolutely stop the cheese, stop the dairy. If you want to give yourself the best, quickest chance of resolving your autoimmune issue. Eggs and dairy are really two things automatically. If you have a significant autoimmune issue you want to resolve, that you should consider wiping out, even if it's just for 6 to 12 months to figure out if it actually is going to be that thing that helps. So here is the article that I linked: dairy consumption linked to prostate, ovarian, breast cancers. This is, like I said, you can just keep going on and on with looking at different articles and research papers about that. So I'm not going to get into that, other than I have in my mind, yeah, it's not a good idea to keep consuming dairy. And when you think about it, we are the only animal roaming this earth that drinks and eats the dairy of another animal. And that makes you give pause to that thought of why might it not be potentially really beneficial for us. So it's the naturally occurring hormones and compounds in the dairy that may be playing the role of increasing the risk of various types of cancer. The word is may. I'm not here to debate this, whether for sure it does or it doesn't, and all the different types of studies, and that we can't control what people eat. Maybe people are eating a lot of dairy who write down on their study paper that dairy that they ate, they might also be eating processed foods. So all I'm saying is just be aware that this research is out there and that maybe we should look into it. People are going to say, I know they're probably over there on the side saying, yeah, okay, I'm going to look over in your comments, the eggs. Yeah, eggs are so healthy and so wonderful to eat. I'm just saying, if you have a significant autoimmune issue, just try. And maybe you want to just cut the whole dairy thing out first and keep including the eggs, and then use that as a second step if you need to. But the PKD Paleomedicina group over in Hungary, they are really adamant about no eggs, no dairy. But again, I've eaten eggs this whole 14 years I've been carnivore. I've never given them up, but I don't have any autoimmune issues to resolve. So I'm not sure. I think for me, if it were me, I would do 100% off the dairy first and see how much of your issue resolves or doesn't, and then maybe take another step further, because then you're getting closer and closer, inching to the lion diet, which most people are like, oh God, don't tell me the lion diet. But so butter is a kind of a different entity, but it is still dairy. I'm going to try to defend butter. It has such a small amount of casein in it. So here I put their butter and heavy cream are really very high in fat and have very little protein in them, and just trace amounts of that casein as far as the addictive part of it. I have sober behavior around butter. I don't binge on it. Whereas with cheese, if I have a ball of fresh mozzarella, I will cut the ends first, and then I will keep going. And then I start thinking to myself, yeah, this is not sober behavior. I'm going to finish the whole damn ball. All right. The next topic is, everybody hates this topic and nobody wants to hear this and nobody wants to be told this, but I'm going to say it. And I'm just going by my experience and all my years of coaching people who are continually going in and out of the ditch. I just call it the ditch. It's the damn ditch. It's, you know what I'm talking about. You give yourself permission, you have a cheat day, which turns into a cheat weekend, which turns into a cheat holiday season, and you name it. Uh, it's a problem. You're putting back on the weight that you took off. So here is the issue. Like I wrote here, you're just mimicking the foods that you're addicted to. The smells, the taste, the chew texture, it all creates a problem. And if it's not a problem for you, and I know there'll be people over there in the chat writing up about how I've eaten Lily's chocolates all along and it works just fine. And great. If somebody is having really good success and keeping all those sweeteners in, then awesome. I'm talking to people here who are potentially watching this because you are not at your ideal body weight. And this is a big problem for people like me and potentially you who have an emotional attachment to food and eating. And sometimes we fill an emotional void. And sometimes we eat out of boredom or anger or stress or procrastination. We're not turning to ground beef at those times. And if we're thinking we're keto or carnivore, we're turning to the treats. And you're not changing your relationship with the food. And in my experience with many that I've coached over the past, let's say 12 years, it's a problem. And I am here to say that even if you just say to yourself, I'm going to give it up for a year. And after the year's up, I'm going to mark the day. I'm going to give myself permission to go back to the keto treats and the sweetener. But I am going to learn what happens in that year. I'm going to learn how my relationship changed with food. I'm going to learn how my cravings changed. I'm going to learn how my weight changed. You can't monitor what you don't measure. You can't expect a change if you don't do the hard things and make a change. And if you're content where you're at and you're including all of these foods, and I'll go through some more. I had fun making this, but we've got all of the keto ice creams. I've got a lot of people who are still hooked on their Diet Coke. And then there's this other carnivore friendly electrolyte powders that so many people are, I'm going to say it, addicted to. You might think, no, I'm just getting my electrolytes in. Yeah, really? You know how many you're sucking down of those raspberry citrus limers, right? And would you be really sucking it down if it was plain water with the unflavored salt version in there? And having it today, are you then opening your package and making it tomorrow? Oh, I need my electrolytes. You need to fire up your brain, the dopamine hit that you're getting from the sensation, the taste of sweet. So just throwing this all out there, food for thought. Now, here's another biggie. Coffee for many is just the vehicle for this double whammy of dairy and sweetener. And it's the vehicle for the dairy and the sweetener. And most people say, oh, if I have to give up dairy and the sweetener, I couldn't have my coffee. I can't drink it black. Well, that stuff tastes like tar. No wonder, right? So you have to think about why we're drinking coffee. And then I wrote down here, the triple whammy is add in the caffeine addiction. And I promised myself I was not going into the coffee caffeine talk tonight. And I'm not going to, because I'm going to do an entire separate video about that. I've had so many people, and I'm so thankful that sometimes I feel, gosh, Lisa, just back off. Let the people have the damn coffee. And don't tell them, and don't try to, no, but I keep saying what I'm going to say. And I've had so many wonderful feedback from people saying, I am so glad. I never thought in a million years I would ever do it. I've given it up. Even some people who are in my current summer challenge, I require you get a very extensive welcome email. And one of the steps that you work through at the very beginning is you are picking your 90-day hard. And it could be giving up gum, could be sticking to carnivore for 90 days. People who are already maybe carnivore for a year are now saying, I'm giving up coffee for 90 days. But whatever it is, we have to make a change to make a change. And I want everybody to think long and hard. And part of this is you don't realize how much heavy cream is going in to that coffee unless you are literally measuring it, which I really highly suggest people do. Back when I originally came into zero carb carnivore, and I was mentored by Charles Washington, there was a whole discussion about the coffee. Of course, it's not carnivore, it's not a health food, it's a seed that's burnt and crushed and ground up and boiling water poured over it. And then we are bathing our nice, delicate microbiome in our digestive system with this on a daily basis. But what he said is, you are not to ever wake up and have your morning coffee. Coffee is not breakfast. You are to wake up, you wait until you're hungry to have a meal. And when you have that first meal, you can then have your coffee. It changes the whole dynamic. So many people are like, no, coffee's my breakfast, and think that they're doing a little diet trick, but not so much. Doesn't work that way. So I'm not going to get further into that because here I am already talking about coffee when I said we weren't. But all right, so what are we doing here? Our addictive brain is just scrambling to try to eat those dessert mimicking foods. Oh my gosh, there's keto chocolate pudding, there's keto strawberry shortcake, there's keto tiramisu. I have seen it all. There's keto brownie brittle. Come on, just even talking about that and naming them and thinking them starts salivary glands going like, ooh, I wonder what that tastes like. And then what are we doing? We're eating food that's not nutrient dense food, which is the whole purpose of what we're trying to transition to here is eat when you're hungry. We're not eating for entertainment. Eat when you're hungry. And when you're hungry, you're eating meat, seafood, eggs, and maybe a little dairy, butter, and a tiny bit of cheese here or there. But I just want you to really think hard about this because I want everybody to get that flat stomach and feel that pep in their step of how amazing you feel when you have so much energy and your body is light and you can go hike and bike and kayak and do whatever you want. You're not limited. And I want that for everybody. And I want you to feel free of addiction. That was one of the main reasons why actually I gave up caffeine was once I gave up the sugar, the grains, the processed foods, and realized there was this whole other world out there, not addicted to this stuff. I then didn't want to be addicted to anything. And I was realizing I was getting up and I was making that cup of coffee. I was only a 1 cup a day person, but I just didn't want to be coming off of a withdrawal from a drug and feeling a little tired and needing to put it back in my body to start the cycle over again. So I'm just throwing all of these thoughts out to you. I'm not saying that this is the be all end all. I'm not here to strike the fear in you that, oh my God, cheese is horrible. I'm going to get cancer. I can't eat it. I ate it for 14 years. I still eat it. I eat it on a very different, limited basis. Very different. But I don't want this to be like, she's making everybody give up cheese. That's crazy. I'm not. I have recipes with cheese. I'm having some friends over next weekend and I'm going to be making my buffalo chicken magic and I'm going to have some of it. I'm not saying to freak out, but if you have a lot of weight to lose, if you have health issues and you're serious about making a change, you might need to make that change. You might say, I'm going to give up dairy for 90 days and see what happens. Uh, it's not easy. I said the rules are simple, but it's really not easy. But this is all things you can do. It's especially when you start getting positive feedback from your own body about what's happening, and you get on the scale and you finally see it dropping because you're making enough changes that it's having an effect. So yeah, I wrote here, this all keeps the cravings alive, and that addictive cycle when you keep hitting with monk fruit, erythritol, stevia. I'm gonna lump everything in there because I get a lot of people who will jump in and go, what about stevia? It's natural. It's natural. It's still the taste of sweet. It still hits the sweet sensors. Your body, when sweet sensors are hit, the brain says, "Ooh, let's ramp this let's ramp up now. We're getting some sweet stuff coming down." It's expecting that it has to deal with glucose, sucrose, and fructose when it gets the taste of sweet. So there's things that are happening biochemically in our bodies that we're not really even thinking about when we're just having our simple electrolyte drink or our skinny girl coffee creamer or whatever it is. But you have to think these are chemicals made in a factory by a company and put in a box, a bag, a bottle, or a jar, which is those four things that I say, don't eat anything that comes in a box, a bag, a bottle, or a jar, and all will be really, really good. Okay. This is one of my favorite sayings with this artificial sweeteners is we're just changing seats on the Titanic. You're getting off of sugar, you're jumping, out of the pan into the fire, so to speak. So I just think that I know it's such a not popular topic, and nobody wants to think that this really is has to be done. And again, if you're doing well, you're at your lean body weight, no medications, no diagnosis, everything's great, and you enjoy your once a day electrolyte water drink, have at it. I'm okay with that. I'm trying to talk to the people who are at that point where they're frustrated and they've made so many changes and they feel like it's not working. This must not be for me. They don't know what to do, where to turn. Um, I always encourage join into a group. It's so helpful. It's so beneficial being around in a whole room on a weekly basis of people who get it and who are talking about all of these things. And then in between, you are messaging with a huge amount of these people, and you're sharing ideas and successes and struggles and recipes and podcasts. And it just makes a big difference to have that support, because this is not an easy path. And we as humans we have this innate desire to belong and fit in. And we don't get that when we are anywhere and everybody is eating this food that is now foreign to me, that is not my food. And you can feel a little bit like an outcast. So I just think community is really important. All right, I'm going to bring up this app. There's two of them actually. Me 360 and BODYGRAM are just really cool apps that I recently came across, and they do a 3D body scan. And I'm going to show you. I actually think I have a picture here. And I'm bringing this up only because I'm hoping that this video is giving you a little food for thought here on some changes to make, and you're going to make a difference in your body shape. And this is so cool. You scan, you stand away. It shows you where to stand, where to put your arms. You fill in the little outline. It instructs you, and then you go sideways. And then it gives you your body fat percentage. It gives you inches of your bicep, your calves, your stomach, your waist, your bust, everything. It's really pretty cool. And it gives you a 3D rendition. And then you can do it weekly, and it will show you, the change. So Me 360 is one and BODYGRAM is another. So this is a screenshot I happened to by accident take when I was doing the Me 360. So I was just going up to the camera to adjust it because this woman verbally guides you through it. She says, tilt your camera back, tilt your camera forward. And then and I was wearing a bikini here. You can wear, workout gear, just kind of like more slimmer fitting clothes. You can do it fully clothed. And then there's this, you actually are putting your feet in to match that when you're standing away. It tells you to hold your arms out and it scans it in seconds. And I think it's just, I always feel like there's a motivation. A lot of people do not like to get on the scale. This just goes by, this gives you a body fat percentage. And it's like, all right, let's just get the hard facts. What the heck? What's going on here? I need to know because I need to know if the changes I'm making are making a positive change. You can't manage what you don't measure. So I just think this is a really simple, very cool technology. And I did not yet try the BODYGRAM one, which I just downloaded on my phone also, because I'm curious to see how compatible they are. And now, so this is what's going to happen. This is the example they give you in the App Store where they show, as let's say you do it each week or you do it each month, and then you're going to put, they will put successive images side by side and show changes in your body fat. And there we go. Happy 4th of July. Freedom from your addictions. It's so amazing. And for some of you, I know I read over in the chat, some of you were saying how quickly your cravings left when you went through the period of time where you said, okay, this is my decision. I'm going to stop eating this stuff. So I like this saying, it's doing what most people don't and most people won't that will get you to your goals. So think about it. Sometimes we got to do the hard things. Sometimes we have to get a little uncomfortable. In my groups that I'm running now, the summer weight loss challenge groups, I am not cracking the whip for people to starve themselves. I myself do not like that hunger feeling. So we have all sorts of different options of what we're doing and how we are really making a change that, okay, I like to say it makes us a little uncomfortable. You know what? Not starving uncomfortable, because I want everybody to eat enough protein. We're not, wasting away here. We are eating, but okay, you gotta track a little bit. Can't manage what you're not measuring. Some people say, I hate tracking. I can't track. I'll never. No. And then some of these same people are going, you know what? Wow, it's really eye-opening. And I'm glad I didn't push back too hard on it because it's been so beneficial. I have people losing 12 pounds each month for the past 2 months and are just thriving in the community of, talking back and forth with others in the group. And it keeps you motivated and it holds you accountable. And there's a lot of, Jonna, thanks for writing that. The apps, I have them actually written in the notes here. I've already typed that out. I tried to be prepared today, but I do have both of those apps listed right in the show notes here. Okay, so I would love to just hang on here and answer all your questions, but I'm going to end the broadcast here because I want people going forward to be able to look at this video and say, oh, in 34 minutes, I'm going to learn the 2 things I need to do to try to lose weight. Because those 2 things are potentially big, big things. And I know it's so hard to imagine. I have people who I've worked with for quite a while who are just stubborn and they are not giving up their sweetener. No way, shape, or form. But I do have a bunch now in my groups, in the challenge group, because I said you have to pick your hard and let's see what happens. So this is really pretty exciting. This is a work in progress. So Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. If you feel like you know anybody who could get benefit from the video, share it with them. And I hope to see you in my groups. I have a link below if you are interested. Actually, I had a there you go. Look at me. I can put a little scroll thing here. Um, I would love also comments that you can make and any ideas going forward. I am going to be doing a video on, I think quite a few on eye, dry eye, floaters. And next week, please join in. I am going to be on live with Dr. Chris Kenobi, and he's the ophthalmologist who spent 8 years uh, studying and figuring out really ancestral health and how to prevent macular degeneration and eye disease and how to prevent going blind and losing your vision. And it's so critically important, this information. And he's amazing as far as help trying to get the word out. So I am very anxious to be able to be there to interview him and have a nice eye doctor to eye doctor discussion about this. And here's my parting words. If it was easy, everyone would have a flat stomach. Do the hard things. So, all right. Have a great night. Get a great night's sleep. I'll see you next week.